This is a crisis like no other. Never in the history of the IMF we have witnessed the world economy coming to a standstill. We are now in recession. It is way worse than the global financial crisis. And it is a crisis that requires all of us to come together. WHO is there to protect the health of people. The IMF is there to protect the health of the world economy. They both are under siege. And only united we can do our duties. I want to stress the message that you and I have sent to the world, that saving lives and protecting livelihoods ought to go hand in hand. We cannot do one without the other.
This is Dr. Cameron KYLE-SIDELL, ER and critical care doctor from New York City. 9 days ago, I opened an intensive care unit to care for the sickest COVID-positive patients in this city. In these 9 days, I have seen things I have never seen before. In treating these patients, I have witnessed medical phenomenon that just don't make sense in the context of treating a disease that is supposed to be a viral pneumonia. 9 days ago, I presumed I was opening an intensive care unit to treat patients with a virus causing a pneumonia that was ravaging lungs across the world, starting out as something mild, a cough, a sore throat, and progressively increasing in severity until ultimately ending in something called acute respiratory distress syndrome, or ARDS. This is the paradigm that every hospital in the country is working under. This is the disease, ARDS, that every hospital is preparing to treat. And this is the disease, ARDS, for which in the next 2 to 6 weeks, 100,000 Americans might be put on a ventilator. And yet, everything I've seen in the last 9 days, all the things that just don't make sense, the patients I'm seeing in front of me, the lungs I'm trying to improve, have led me to believe that COVID-19 is not this disease, and that we are operating under a medical paradigm that is untrue. In short, I believe we are treating the wrong disease, and I fear that this misguided treatment will lead to a tremendous amount of harm to a great number of people in a very short time. As New York City appears to be about 10 days ahead of the country, I feel compelled to get this information out. COVID-19 lung disease, as far as I can see, is not a pneumonia and should not be treated as one. Rather, it appears as some kind of viral induced disease, most resembling high altitude sickness. It is as if tens of thousands of my fellow New Yorkers are on a plane at 30,000 feet and the cabin pressure is slowly being let out. These patients are slowly being starved of oxygen. I have seen patients dependent on oxygen take off their oxygen and quickly progress through a state of anxiety and emotional distress and eventually get blue in the face. And while they look like patients absolutely on the brink of death, they do not look like patients dying of pneumonia. I have never been a mountain climber, and I do not know the conditions at base camp below the highest peaks in the world. But I suspect that the patients I'm seeing in front of me look most like as if a person was dropped off on the top of Mount Everest without time to acclimate. I don't know the final answer of this disease, but I'm quite sure that a ventilator is not it. That is not to say that we don't need ventilators. We absolutely need them. They are the only way at this time that we're able to give a little more oxygen to patients who need it. But when we treat people with ARDS, we typically use ventilators to treat what's called respiratory failure. That is, we use the ventilator to do the work that the patient's muscles can no longer do because they're too tired to do it. These patients' muscles work fine. I fear that if we are using a false paradigm to treat a new disease, that the method that we program the ventilator, one based on a notion of respiratory failure as opposed to oxygen failure, that this method, and there are a great many number of methods we can use with the ventilator, but this method being widely adopted at this very moment in every hospital in the country, which aims to increase pressure on the lungs in order to open them up, is actually doing more harm than good. And that the pressure we are providing to lungs, we may be providing to lungs that cannot stand it, that cannot take it, and that the ARDS that we are seeing, that the whole world is seeing, may be nothing more than lung injury caused by the ventilator. Now, I don't know the final answer to this disease. I do sense that we will have to use ventilators. We will have to use a great many number of ventilators, and we need a great many number of ventilators, but I sense that we can use them in a much safer way. In a much safer method. That safer method challenges long-held dogmatic beliefs within the medical community and among lung specialists, which will not be easy to overcome. But I really believe that they must be overcome. There are hundreds of thousands of lungs in this country at risk, and the time to overcome them is now. I'm confident that if those of us that work bedside with these patients, those of us who are witnessing the things that we have never seen before, despite the many years we have worked and the thousands of patients and diseases we have seen, if we can effectively communicate this to all those that are so important but who are not bedside, the researchers, the administrators, those who procure our resources and make our protocols, the politicians, our own government, if we are able to convince them that this is a disease that is different than anything we have ever seen, I am confident that an answer can be found, that effective treatment can be discovered, and that a plan to disseminate that treatment can be rapidly deployed, and that tens of thousands and probably hundreds of thousands of lives and lungs will be protected. The time for this is now. We are staring into a future in which a great many of our fellow Americans are going to suffer. We are all involved in this future. So I urge you, for those of us, if you are out there, for those who work bedside, I urge you to speak up. We can change this. I thank you all for listening. Please spread the message and stay safe.
In light of this important message of this doctor, who I want to add has nothing to gain at all by giving you this, unlike the plethora of people on the news like Bill Gates who have a lot to gain by you taking his advice, this man has nothing to gain and everything to lose. But I'd like to make a few comments, and please take my comments with a grain of salt. Don't believe anything I say, do your own research. But I'd like to point out here that in my video on 60 gigahertz FIVEG, I roughly explained how the uptake of oxygen to hemoglobin can be potentially interfered with electromagnetically. Since releasing that video, I have had further confirmation by a molecular scientist specializing in oxygen. I'll show that later. But I showed how it's well known that 60 gigahertz FIVEG is absorbed by oxygen. I showed you footage of how the heads of telecom admit under oath there have been no industry-sponsored safety testing of these frequencies that they are saying they will release in an expedited manner. No safety testing on humans, no safety testing on the environment. In the video, I also begged that we need further testing to be done before we continue to unleash these frequencies on the world. That video was subsequently removed by YouTube. Now this doctor admits this, whatever this is that he's seeing coming into his ICU is unlike anything he has ever seen before. He says he has witnessed medical phenomena that don't make sense in the context of treating a disease that's supposed to be a viral pneumonia. The thing that they're telling you all over the media that this is without a doubt. He describes that the paradigm that they are told that they would be treating is ARDS, acute respiratory distress syndrome. And quote, yet everything I've seen in the last 9 days, all of the things that just don't make sense, the patients I'm seeing in front of me, the lungs I'm trying to improve have led me to believe that this COVID-19 is not this disease. He's saying it's not behaving as a viral pneumonia. He says, and that we are operating under a medical paradigm that is untrue. And he adds that he fears that this misguided treatment will lead to a tremendous amount of harm to a great number of people in a very short period of time. Are you listening? He's calling this oxygen failure, and he's admitting that whatever this is can be exacerbated by the use of ventilators itself. You heard him say it, not me, that as far as he can see it, it is not acting as a pneumonia, and it should not be treated as one. Again, a head doctor in ICU in New York City is saying this, not me. I have no medical advice on this topic. I'm simply asking, can we confirm if 60 gigahertz frequency has actually been unleashed in New York City? Are there any whistleblowers out there who install small cell towers who have seen the frequencies listed on the side? Come to me and let me know where they've installed this stuff so we can start to gather this kind of information. Can we start to consider that just perhaps, just maybe, this thing is not what we are being told?
America, you don't make sense and you don't use your brain. I am sad and sorry to tell you that, but let's talk about it, okay? Let's talk about it. Number one, coronavirus. Yes, it is created and was created in the lab by Bill Gates and your government. Yes, it was. Look it up. There's a patent for it.
The same week that the coronavirus makes headlines, Netflix releases the docu-series Pandemic: How to Prevent an Outbreak, wherein the solution is vaccines and the trusted hero is Bill Gates. Meanwhile, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation fund Innovio Pharmaceuticals, Inc. to develop a coronavirus vaccine. It's weird, right? Or am I just a conspiracy theorist? What about this? 5G, an emerging technology upgrade that has many countries concerned about its impact on human health. Experts from all over the world warn of the dangers of 5G. In 2018, it was reported locally that Wuhan would be the testbed city for full 5G network operation in China. The article went on to say that it would be fully operational by 2020. And on Halloween of 2019, they turned it on. Scientists warn that 5G causes flu-like symptoms. Interesting?
Okay. Number one is AIDS, which is HIV and SARS mixed together. Okay. So you tell me the last time AIDS or HIV went airborne. Okay. Yeah. All right. But here's the thing. You are all panicking and wanting masks. For what? If it's supposed to be airborne and everything that you breathe, the only way you can live is to exchange air, correct? And if it's airborne, say if I do this, say if I cough, guess what? The particles of the virus lands on your mask. So you can put this baby on your face all day you want to, but that virus is going to exist on this all day long. So all you're doing is carrying it around in your pocket, on your face. You're making it worse. And if it's airborne and you breathe air in your lungs, in and out, really?
So we don't want that WHO go into speculations. This is airborne. Corona is airborne. It's more contagious.
There's no way around it. But you don't think. But I'm here to think for you, okay? This will do nothing for you. Did this help Wuhan? No, it didn't, okay? It didn't. But here's the thing. You need to know. You honestly need to know that enough is enough, okay? Every month, every week for the beginning since 2020 has started, the government has created fear tactics and propaganda and fear mongering at its finest. Okay? When are you going to start holding these people accountable and stop listening to the news? When are you going to think for yourself? Let's be honest. When are you going to think for yourself? Okay? What they're trying to do here is introduce martial law, which I told you it was coming. They're trying to introduce concentration camps because I told you it was coming, okay? History repeats itself. If you don't know where if you don't know your history, how will you know where you're going, okay? All of this stuff has happened before, okay? You need to know that. And they're trying to scare you to round your ass up. Yes, they are. Okay? But here's the thing. Since it has a patent, okay, you have someone liable that you can file a lawsuit against. So instead of being scared, how about you get some balls to you and sue the fuck out of the government and hold them accountable? But here's another thing. What is buying tissue and water gonna do? It's just another scare tactic to get you to buy up products that they produced in over mass production. Okay? Say if I was an entrepreneur who bought a shitload of these, and right now my stock is going down. So I'm gonna team up with the government, and we're gonna say, hey, I'm gonna pump out 20 million of these, okay? Can you create me a scare so we can get these moving, especially if I got stock invested in you, which a lot of these elite people do have stock invested in stuff like this, okay? This is what they do all day. They create these things to create them a revenue so they never be broke again, which is ingenious, okay? They create things like this to scare you into not only giving them their money, but fearing them. And you guys do more fearing than you do fighting. And it's alarming that you don't think. You don't think. You believe anything that anybody tells you. All these videos that they're showing, number one, is false flags. No one is going to have extreme footage like they do. You can tell on these videos that they're recording them almost like a movie to feed you. Okay? You guys don't understand. You can't see what I see, but a lot of these videos are filmed to scare you. Okay? That's what they do all the time. They've been doing it, and they'll continue to do it unless you stand up and make a difference. Okay? So, with that being said, please turn off your television, which the root word in television is tell-a-lie. Television? Tell-a-lie? Vision? Your vision is telling a lie from what you are seeing. Okay? Wake up, people. How much longer does this have to go on? Every month for the past 2 months of 2020, we've had a war scare. We've had a epidemic scare. We've had stock market crashes. It's been so much trauma to the human psyche. It's not even funny. And you guys keep running for it. I mean, you don't want to be saved. That's clear, and that's okay. But this is for the people who are tired of the shenanigans and the malarkey and the bullshit that coexists within our realm. God, it's tiring to watch y'all keep falling for this stuff, and it's ridiculous. Like, you have to be smarter than this. Why can't you see what's going on? So, okay, this is what I implore to you. Start suing these people. They leave a paper trail of every disaster that they create for you, okay? Start suing these people. Get somewhere. Be about your business. Be vigilant. Stay awake. and stop falling for everything you hear and see, okay? You can't run from something that's airborne because you gotta breathe in air no matter what or where you go. It's gonna attract in your clothes. It's gonna attract in your mask, okay? It's gonna attract in your hair. So guys, cut it out. Use your brain. Be smarter than them. You have to be smarter than them. You can outsmart them, okay? Just like fluoride is not good for you. Hitler used fluoride in the water to sedate the prisoners because it's a harmful neurotoxin that literally dumbs you down and makes you dumb, eat holes in your brain. It is a chemical, okay? It's a neurotoxin that will eat your brain alive. Why do you think it's in your toothpaste every morning for your indoctrination every morning that you get up and you go into society to be a slave? Okay? Let's wake up. Let's start researching. Let's start learning. Let's start unlearning to learn what the truth is about all of this stuff. All of it. You guys, you sit up here and you cry about which president is good for you. Newsflash, none of them. None of them has done anything for the human race. None of them. And they're never going to. Cut the shit. Okay? Cut the shit. I keep hearing people say they're going to vote. What are you going to vote for when these people are already been appointed 10 and 20 years ahead of time? Black people, people of color, you have no rights. That's what the 13th Amendment states. You have no rights. So how are you voting when your rights don't count? Okay, yeah. What a waste. What a waste of time. What a waste. You need to know that. Number one, America is a corporation. It is a business. Okay? It's not a country. It's not a nation. It's not any of that. It is a corporation. It has a ESBN number. Okay? It has a tax ID number. Are you tripping right now? And the receipt is your social security number. Okay? You are bought and paid for. That's your birth certificate. You are bought and paid for. That's why they press you to work like we do. Okay? You need to know that. I'm sorry to tell you these things. But every politician, okay, is not good for you. Cut the shit and wake the hell up. All right. I gotta go. Hope this helps. Have a good night. Have a good day. Stop spreading fear. Okay, because this won't do shit for you when it's airborne and you breathe in air every day. And in order to avoid it, you'd have to stop breathing. How you gonna do that, Sway? How you gonna stop breathing? I don't know. Stop this shit and think. Think. Wake up, Neo. All right, have a good one.
Stay at home, with the exception of essential services of running government and allowing you to access things like food that you need to be able to live and survive.
Officials at the Internal Revenue Service, who are the people actually dispersing the money, say that individual citizens who don't have direct deposit details lodged with the government, or maybe don't even have bank accounts that can accept direct deposits, may have to wait until the summer for physical checks to be printed and put in the mail. And Steve Mnuchin acknowledged, using a phrase last night that was interesting, that there were Americans out there who he said were underbanked, and those people may well have some kind of a delay. He said only a couple of weeks, not multiple weeks, for the money to reach them. So this is going to be an unfolding aspect of the story.
This morning, I have signed an executive order which institutes a stay-at-home directive. No Maryland resident should be leaving their home unless it is for an essential job or for an essential reason, such as obtaining food or medicine, seeking urgent medical attention, or for other necessary purposes. The NIH and FDA are headquartered in Maryland, and these agencies are on the front lines of the battle against the coronavirus.
And that's why this shelter-at-home directive is not a request here, it's an order.
I can't stress enough that every step that Montanans take now and in the following weeks will make all the difference in managing through this health crisis.
A statewide order for people to stay at home.
California's governor also sending this dire letter to the White House, asking the president to deploy the Navy's hospital ship, the Mercy, to Los Angeles. Right now, it's preparing to head towards Seattle to help with the outbreak there. But California officials anticipate that in the next 8 weeks, close to 30% of the state's residents will have the virus. At the White House, the president touting an anti-malaria drug called chloroquine or hydroxychloroquine that could be used to fight the virus.
And it's shown very encouraging, very encouraging early results. And we're going to be able to make that drug available almost immediately. It's been approved, and they did it. They took it down from many months to immediate. So we're going to be able to make that drug available by prescription.
But the FDA making it clear it's only approved to treat malaria at this point, not COVID-19.
I mean, it is going to be a nationally transformative thing.
Dr. Fauci weighs in on how long social distancing could last.
Who is Anthony Fauci? He's part of the COVID-19 Presidential Task Force. He's the professional. You can listen to him. He's the expert. So what does the expert say?
When it goes down to essentially no new cases, no deaths at a period of time.
And yet, we are not nationally transforming. And yet, even as of today, in all of these U.S. states, there is no statewide order to stay at home. In Nevada, in North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Iowa, Arkansas, in all of these states, there's some places in the state where you can order to stay home, local, right? But nothing statewide. What's the rush? Utah, Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri, which has just had a huge rise in cases. Mississippi, where today the governor put in a stay-at-home order for one county, one. Alabama, where they've got a serious issue in Birmingham already and increasingly in other counties. Incredibly, both Georgia and Florida, big states contending with tons of cases already. South Carolina, Pennsylvania, Wyoming, all of those states have also decided not to have statewide orders. Yeah, why not?
What we need to do with containment and mitigation is to blunt that curve, because left to its own devices, it's going to do this.
How do you know when this curve is blunt? And do you have any evidence that we're blunting it?
You know, right now, well, I'm sure that we are with what we're doing, but the numbers don't tell us that yet.
Should we expect more closures? Should more Americans be prepared to be hunkering down at their house?
I think Americans should be prepared that they're going to have to hunker down significantly more than we as a country are doing.
Here's a pharmacy in Inchicore Village, and there's a cross over the door. I'll show you the cross. There's the cross. And look what's on the roof. Another one. So, this will make you sick. And then you go into this pharmacy to buy the pill that's supposed to make you better, but it won't make you better because this is not going away. This will give you headaches and this will give you all kinds of symptoms. So the stuff you buy in this pharmacy is just going to be a waste of time because our bodies are not designed to live beside these things.
Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Richie from Boston. I'm showing you some old footage. And for those of you that still believe in the political system, do you recall that Donald Trump, the guy standing right there in this particular debate and several others, kept talking about the 33,000 emails and how he was going to send Hillary to jail. He was going to get a special prosecutor and attorney generals and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And then right after he is selected to be the president of the corporation of the United States of America, this happens.
Very honored, very honored when I heard that President Bill Clinton and Secretary Hillary Clinton was coming today. And I think it's appropriate to say, and I'd like you to stand up. I'd like you to stand up. And honestly, there's nothing more I can say because I have a lot of respect for those two people. So thank you all for being here.
So do you see what I'm saying? It's complete and total nonsense. Complete and total nonsense. Look at these creepy, heavily make-upped, hair all puffed up, soulless scum elitists clapping and quacking and praising each other. Say anything to get elected, say what the people want to hear, and as soon as they become whatever they're trying to become, they stick to the script. And I'm going to show you exactly why. This is something that you need to see. I've shown this before. I'm going to show it again because it's important. This is who Trump is, and this is who he serves. I've shown you this when he got elected, selected, and I'm going to remind you. I've shown you this list before, and many other YouTube channels have shown you videos that cover this exclusively. But who is Michael Cohen? The Trump Organization, Executive Vice President and Special Counsel. And, well, that's probably just one, right? Well, let's look at Gil Deezer. President Trump, Deezer Development. Michael Deezer. You seeing a theme here? Because it's going to keep going. Alan Fishman. His largest lender. Alan Garten. Executive Vice President and General Counsel, the Trump Organization. Michael Glassner. You catching on here? So do the moves that that Trump's been making make sense to you now? This is a complete and total 100% takeover of everything that we've ever known and loved. Whether we knew what it was or wasn't, it's going to become painfully obvious what everything is going to become. The New World Order. The New World Order is these people, just like it's always been since the days they nailed Yahushua to a cross. Do you see what I'm saying? You can argue it, you can deny it, you can hold on to hope as much as you want, but at some point you've got to open your eyes and understand exactly what it is that's going on in our lifetime. We are the generation. I can't stress it enough. Do you think it's a complete and total coincidence that everyone's suddenly getting stifled and silenced on YouTube? A channel with 340,000 subscribers, and I'm lucky if a video gets 10,000 views. There's a reason for that.
Last week, Dr. Michael Ryan, he's a leader at the World Health Organization, announced that in response to the spread of this virus, authorities may have to enter people's homes and remove family members, presumably by force.
In most parts of the world, due to lockdown, most of the transmission that's actually happening in many countries now is happening in the household, at family level. In some senses, transmission has been taken off the streets and pushed back into family units. Now we need to go and look in families to find those people who may be sick and remove them and isolate them in a safe and dignified manner.
Just so you know, we're coming to your house, seizing your children and, quote, isolating them in a safe and dignified manner.